gonna make this video for Old Holland paint, since I never found really any real videos like this. I guess I don't know. They demo it really well, and they show what it could do. But I'm doing this to demonstrate, because this is Old Holland right here, all of this, and then this stuff that I set up is like foundations. I think some of that red is Old Holland, but this mainly is all Rembrandt paint. So you can see the main difference here. I'm trying to catch the really oily, glossy sheen that looks like old fucking paint. If you go to a museum and you know what I'm talking about, you'll get that strong, just beautiful glossy sheen. It's hard to describe. It just looks wet in person. And this painting is not done. I have debated whether or not I should just leave it as is, because I kind of like how it's just a simple flower with a... I'm not done with the pot and everything in there. But I stayed up all night painting this, trying to get the basic foundations up here, because I'm gonna try that forced light perspective thing, that technique I think I invented. Whether or not I did, I don't know. But and the reason why I got Old Holland paint is because I can't find anywhere online where this technique has actually been purposely done, where I take reflecting light. So if you hung this up in a gallery, I'm building up the light here, and so the light then from the gallery lighting will reflect here, and when you look at it just right, it'll look like the light is actually coming from behind the flowers. And so I bought Old Holland paint because it's basically some of the best paint that you can get. And I thought if I really did invent this, I think it could be historical. So I stayed up all night drinking absinthe and painting this. I'm still feeling the effects of that. But, I set up this underlying gloss layer a few weeks ago, and then we're going to build up on that into a matte here. And that matte then will come forward at you, while the light will reflect off the most base layer of paint with the canvas, and you build up and you do that, and it makes just the object look, even though this is kind of like an abstract sort of just blobby thing, I'm still learning to use the Old Holland paints are so thick. They're unbelievably thick that I'm not used to using paint that thick. I'm used to the Rembrandt paint, which is very fine and fluid, and it's soft, and you can really do whatever the hell you want with it. While the Old Holland here is so thick that I'm having a hard time getting all of the streaking and the lining and the texturing that I want. And I got some sable brushes also, if anybody wants to know what that'll do. Sable is not for everyone. I switched back to my cheap dollar store brushes because the bristles are tougher, but they're wearing out, and I need to get more of these brushes that aren't sold at the store anymore for some reason. And they're just cheap disposable brushes, but yet the bristles are strong enough that you can control and command the paint a little bit more. But this Old Holland is so thick, you can capture it. I don't know if my phone will pick it up the way it looks in person. It's me trying to form a flower here. It's supposed to be a daisy, and I thought I figured out flowers finally, and then I switched to this new paint, and it is unbelievably beautiful paint. My gosh, it's just the way it looks in person compared, and the light in my kitchen isn't yellow, so I painted this with yellow light. It's meant to be looked at with yellow light. And that yellow light reflecting off that's a candle, but I liked the ambery color. It's like a caramel amber. Then I just had some of the paints that I ordered match that color. And I'm gonna go back, correct all this and add more fun stuff like that. But it's going to hopefully come together. And I stayed up all night, 12 hours painting, and that's all I got done. Literally sitting there for 12 hours straight, just listening to Beethoven. I don't know how come I didn't get more done. I was trying, because I'm so nervous to use this paint. It's expensive, and it's a privilege to get to use, paint that Van Gogh himself used. What I'm going to do from now on is use the Rembrandts, since they're so thin, and they have a great transparency to them. As you can see, like with this blue, that where the backing color is coming through, and I'm trying to, as you step back, create it as if it's like a foundation there, and trying to get the shading down and getting the lighting coming this way. And we'll see if it works. I hope it works. But I don't know how to paint any other way. I am not a great painter. I wish I could paint like Thomas Moran. I can't. So I paint like that, so that when you step back, it looks like a face, and that's supposed to be close. And I look at, because he did a self-portrait of that exact photo, and I compared mine with his, and I'm like, oh my god, mine looks like shit. This is the only way, because I like painting. I like the smells. And this paint smells like a museum. It smells just so good. And so this is just a in-process video. So try to catch it. The way it won't show up on camera. The way it looks in person. Because in person it'll have, like, you get all those white speckling lines, but the lines will follow the oil, and the oil just, with the pigment, it looks like paint that you see from paintings. They're hundreds of years old, those old master paintings you'd see in a museum. And this paint's the real deal. I wasn't expecting it to be this beautiful. And that's the problem with photos. No matter how good your camera is, let's get really close to it. No matter how good your camera is, you're never going to capture the painting as it looks in person. Now I can kind of get the way that the oil looks. So if you're wondering about Old Holland paint, it is beautiful stuff, and it is a challenge to work with. I have to completely change my comfort level with the paint. And I finally broke down, and I was just like, fuck it, let's try this. I spent a lot of money on this paint. I got through my inhibitions. Because the Rembrandts, it's so easy to just do stuff, like filler, texturing, and controlling the direction, and trying to create something. And the difference here, and the way that the pigment and how thick it is. And it's made with first pressed linseed oil. It's hard to work with, though, for this sort of technique. And as you can see, like, I'm having a hard time getting that sort of stuff like that developing, because some of that is Rembrandt too, if I remember right. I built some of that up, or I don't know. But the Rembrandt glows too, you know, if you do it just right, but it's so thin on the canvas that you don't get thick layers of paint, and you want that thick layer of paint to come at you. Like when I went to see Van Gogh, they had these roses there that inspired me to try to sculpt the paint outwardly at you. And that was another reason why I wanted this paint, is because it's thicker. And I'm still just having a hard time figuring out how to do that. And I don't get it. And I've considered actually sculpting some sort of medium on there, or using something else other than just paint, and then painting over something. And I don't know if that looks like a flower. I mean, it kind of does if you step back a little bit, like a wilting daisy. I was having such a hard time just trying to get the stem to look the way I want it to. And it's, when you thin it out on the canvas like that, you can see just how immense the pigment is. And today tonight, I'm gonna try to spend another all night doing this, and I got some tulips that I want to paint too. I'm gonna do tulips next, rather than daisies. And I kind of like it just as it is, because there's no main picture, even though this needs to still be worked to represent what I want from a painting. That the vacancy there, I think, has some sort of, it says something. And there's just this little flower. But I'm gonna work more inwardly like that, so I'm gonna keep layering a little bit more there, and then so you layer there to, so that the light that reflects isn't always from the paint itself. You need a strong matte paint for the top layer, and then bring out those mattes over here, and it forces this illusion like the light is actually coming from behind the object. That's a long enough video. What else can I say about the paint? I haven't worked with it enough. I've only used those 3 colors. Well, 4, I guess, because there's some green in there. And it's not the finest texturing yet, because I'm not used to it. My brush is wearing out. It's a dollar store brush. I've already painted 3 paintings with the same brush that's broken. So you keep stepping back. Gotta clean up some stuff, make it look more presentable. But it'll get there. Probably be done with it by tomorrow. And maybe I'll make another video then.